have made the decision to join me and my special guest tonight. Before we start the live, please just take a listen. If I had told you at the beginning of this year that we would have been facing a pandemic by the name of COVID-19 that was going to turn this world upside down, you would have never believed it. The COVID Conquerors series on the Aisha Muhammad podcast. In this climate of fear, confusion, and suppression, I saw the need to create the COVID Conquerors podcast series. COVID Conquerors features phenomenal people who are, despite their challenges, thriving personally or in service to their community. COVID Conquerors airs live on Facebook and YouTube every other Thursday at 9 p.m. GMT, that's UK time, on the Aisha Muhammad podcast. This podcast aims to encourage, inspire, and empower you, to reassure you that in this time of uncertainty, should you look, you will see that there are great opportunities for you to thrive in aspects of your life, regardless to whom or what. It's time to start the live podcast where you'll meet this week's phenomenal guest. Let the countdown begin.
5, 4,
Welcome back to the Aisha Muhammad podcast. I have been away for a few weeks and I'm so happy to be back with my very special and phenomenal guest, Terrell Jones, and he is a coach, a business coach, and a certified speaker, international, I might add, because here you are today with myself on the podcast, and I'm situated all the way over here in Birmingham, UK. Now, some of you may be wondering, who is this woman talking to you with the hat? Well, my name's Aisha Muhammad and I'm a self-love coach and I'm based over here in the United Kingdom. I like to serve women basically level up and become the best version of themselves. You can check out my coaching services at bestyouinmotion.com. Now let's get to it. I have here with me the man himself, Terrell Jones. He is actually my business coach, and I'm so happy to have him here with us on the Aisha Muhammad podcast. Please make sure that you share out this podcast with all you know that it will help. Terrell, welcome to the Aisha Muhammad podcast. How are you?
Right. I'm doing amazing. Thanks for having me here. I love that. That intro is immaculate to the podcast. I love it.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
And the countdown. That's what I'm talking about. Get you excited.
Yeah, we're going to bring that fire. I love to be creative. So, yeah, that's awesome. And we're joined also by Brother Michael Neal. Peace to you. Thank you for joining. Okay, excellent. Well, what can you tell us about yourself? Because I actually came across you when I was scrolling on my Facebook feed. And I saw you in front of a whiteboard and you had these really colorful Post-it notes that caught my attention. So please tell us more.
Yeah, love it. So so for those who don't know, certified speaker, international business coaching. So basically what I do is I work with entrepreneurs, specifically coaches and speakers, and I really help them level up and build their coaching businesses from scratch, right? So if you have a passion in your heart, you have some kind of expertise, you have a message, and people have been telling you forever, you should teach, you should coach, you should do, you should counsel, you should do whatever, and you're trying to figure out how to do a business and get that out to more people. What I do is help you get coaching clients and speak. is my goal, right? So so with that, a lot of it, even before I got into this, I was doing like other niches and productivity. So I'm excited that today is about productivity and like time management. But that's not where I started, right? I didn't start with the 1.1 million views online and followers and 6-figure business and all of that stuff and transform our lives. I didn't start there. Where I started was I'm from New York City, right? And I was literally born in a place that didn't have money, right? I was born in the projects and literally, gangs, violence, drugs, everything that you could think of. And I was in a place that literally I could have ended up dead or in jail, especially with the people that I was rolling with. And what's crazy is that I didn't know anybody making 6 figures. I didn't know anybody successful. I had no idea. This is me, growing up, even through my teen years, I had no idea that I would be doing anything like this. But I did have a cousin that ended up going to college. So I ended up going to a university, taking up college, getting my bachelor's degree in engineering, getting my master's degree in project management, which is like my first taste of, all right, now let's really start, productivity, time management, and all that good stuff. And I graduated, worked for some Fortune 500 companies, very successful. And I got to a place to where I was making 6 figures, making good money, but I realized that a lot of my peers and my fraternity brothers weren't necessarily getting the same level of success. So, and getting into their career. So what I decided to do, and I first hung my hat, was as a college development coach. So that's how I originally got into this game. This was like maybe almost 7 years ago. So, so I knew a lot about how to help you do a resume, how to help you, get your credentials in terms of like your experience to get into the career field that you want to get into, but I didn't have the slightest clue about business. So that's when I got on a crusade to really figure out, how do I actually just learn business and make this thing happen? And as I started on that pursuit, I started learning that I love more about expressing my voice. I started learning more about influence and helping other people and how powerful my voice is and the value that I have to give. And from there, I started working with other coaches and speakers. And, now we work with folks globally, of course, and, and the rest is history.
Wow, that's awesome. So tell me a little bit about you when you was a little boy. Who did you look up to? What I really want to know is, what was your why? You described the environment that you were living in. What made you want to do something different?
Oh, love it, man. So me as a kid, I was a kid, and this is my mom told me this too, is that I was a kid that I was very inquisitive. I love to ask questions. I always loved learning. So that was something that I always loved. But I love learning things that I wanted to learn, not necessarily like history or social studies, but I just love asking questions. And so that was really me. In terms of I just grew up in an environment, right? I just grew up in an environment that I became that product to some point, to where it could have definitely ended bad for me in certain situations. But that was what I knew, is because it's who I was around. But really, I remember like one thing that changed for me was I remember coming home from high school one day, and I just really got super present for whatever reason. And I started looking around, and it was the same guys that was selling, same guys rolling dice, the same guys drinking 40s, the same, same girls out here. Everything just looked the same. And I remember just seeing them one day, and I said, do I really want to live the rest of my life in this environment? Because I've seen people since I was little, like this, never left the block, never left the environment. So for me, it was, there got to be something different. So from that point on, I was already looking for just something new, something different. I don't know if I was going to move somewhere or if it was a different, getting a job. I don't know what it was, but I wanted to do something that was different than what I was doing. And I remember my cousin telling me he was going to college and he was going to Virginia. Right. So, Virginia. So I'm in New York City, Virginia was probably about at least like a 6-hour drive. And I said, why not? Why not? So I decided to actually go to Virginia too, and I went to a different university, like 30 minutes away from his. And from there, I never looked back.
Wow, awesome. Now, you speak of helping people who are in a job and, they want to work for themselves eventually. Now, I remember being in that position once upon a time whereby, you're working in your job, the job takes all your time and your energy, you're not necessarily fulfilled. There's often some politics going on in the office in particular. And, you want to do something for yourself. You want to become a business owner, an entrepreneur. And so, you often struggle trying to make the time to beaver away at night, what it is you want to do. Off time needing some help, some guidance, getting maybe a little bit frustrated with the process. And here you come, helping people in such a position, which is really good. It's almost like, extending that well-needed and helping hand. And as this podcast is COVID Conquerors, it's about those who are thriving despite the pandemic, personally or through service to others. Where am I going with this? A lot of people are now being faced with really looking at an alternative to their job, because as we know, there's certain restrictions and coercion happening with people in regards to the big V, we'll call it. And so there are a lot of people, probably an increasing number of people, that are looking to work for themselves. Have you found that during this time?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I can tell you this, that it's been going on 7 years, and there's been no time until, I mean, this industry is always growing. Like, so education, coaching has always been growing online, but there was a super accelerant because of COVID. Right. So the accelerant was a lot of people getting laid off, as we know, a lot of people looking for jobs, a lot of people tired of their jobs. And people were just looking for something different, something to be able to utilize their own passion and talents. And people were already saying, okay, I'm keep making somebody's dream true every day, going there, working on a 5 o'clock and, punching a clock, but there's something that's missing. There's some level of passion that's missing. So what I've noticed is that there's been a huge level of more people just becoming coaches and wanting to just speak to their audience and help. And so absolutely, I mean, right now, like our industry is hot. Our industry is very, very hot. And I'm noticing a lot of people definitely looking for the help, looking for the guidance. And I love it. I love it. If you learn something or you got some experience, whether that's some kind of life experience you've been through, or whether that's like a hard skill that you've learned, why not? If you can help somebody else from it, and people will be willing to make an investment in order to learn that skill or overcome that experience that you went through, go for it. And people they've been going for it.
Excellent. Now, I've heard that every excellent coach has an excellent coach. So do you have a coach?
Yes. Yes, I do. So my coach is Kendall Ficklin. Shout out to Kendall. And he actually worked directly with E.T. the hip hop preacher. So some of y'all may know Dr. Eric Thomas, the world's #1 motivational speaker. So yeah, absolutely, been rocking out with him for years. And absolutely, and actually, you should have one, but you can have multiple coaches in different areas if you want to. Right. So like, it was funny. I remember watching an interview with Jordan, and and basically it was asking Jordan, like, how many coaches does he have? And literally, he said that he had 12 coaches. 12. Wow. Now, this is arguably the number one basketball player in the world in history. The man had more coaches. Now, you would think somebody who's number one, they don't need more coaches. You would think the person that's trash would need the most coaches. Like, let's be real, right? You think the person that would be the person that need the most coaches, but the guy who's number one has the most coaches. A dribble coach, a shooting coach, strength and conditioning, like so many different coaches. And then, and is it a coincidence he's number one? I don't think so. Right. So absolutely, like you should definitely have a coach.
Definitely, mindset is very important. And this is often addressed by a lot of our coaches as the first step. One of the reasons a lot of people find it difficult to make that transition from employee to employer is to do with mindset. So if there's anybody who's watching who wants to make that transition, what words of advice would you have for them? Thank you for your comment, Brother Michael.
Yeah, how important it is to address mindset. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, because when you got to think about it like this, if you're trying to transition to being an entrepreneur, right, and you've just been working as an employee, there's a mindset shift that has to go from I can just show up and just kind of do work, and even regardless of whether it's mediocre or whatever, you show up, you do work, you're going to get a check. As an entrepreneur, it's really like you eat what you kill. Right? So you really have to be highly motivated, and you really have to have a thirst for knowledge and wanting to learn and wanting to get better as an entrepreneur, because you could work a full day's work, quote unquote, which most people don't, because they get distracted easily, right? Which is we'll get the productivity, don't worry. But with that, right? But with that, you really gotta be locked in, focused, and when you go to your job, you don't necessarily you're going to get that check, so you feel you're like, okay, I'm cool. But when you start transitioning, it really takes you really have to learn skill. You really got to be focused. You really have to be productive, because other than that, days are wasting away, right? And guess what? Your bills is not right. The investments that you got to make, then they start knocking on your door, and now it's like, okay, like what am I gonna do? Right. So it really, you have to be highly motivated. And this is why I say, like, if you're an employee right now and you really want to start your own business one day, or if you want to start it soon, it's very important that you find something that you're passionate about. Because if you're not passionate about it, it's going to be hard for you to sustain it and stick with it. Right. That's why I don't accept coaching clients for people who are just in it to try to make a couple dollars and to make money. Like if you're in it just to, because you're just trying to make money or get a couple dollars, I'm not going to accept you, because it's very, very likely that you're going to quit at some point because it's not in your heart. You don't have the passion for it. But when you have the passion for something, and it's something that you really want to do, regardless of what business it is, right? Like if you really want to do it and you're going to keep going at it, you'll be successful at some point.
Excellent.
So hopefully that answers your question. There.
It does. And another thing that a lot of people face in that same predicament is, they might tell people, look, I'm going to leave my job and go work for myself. This is what I want to do. And they might have some naysayers, Terrell. They might have some people that just don't believe in them. Like, yeah, okay. What advice would you give? What advice would you give to those people? Because, that can be a heartbreaking situation. So,
yeah, that's yeah. So what I would say is that.
Did you experience that?
Yeah. Okay. So look, everybody's going to have naysayers, and sometimes it's the closest people to you, right? You never know. It might be a brother, sister, your mother, father. It could be a spouse, right? And so with that, and it's not necessarily that they want to see you fail or they don't want you to succeed or whatever, but really is that they're trying to,
Brian,
right? They're trying to protect you, right? So with that, I can tell you, for me, like I've had like even my own fraternity brothers, I've had friends in college, I've had people who they didn't really see it or they didn't really see the potential at the time, and they said, they might have said some negative things or said, that's who you always going to be or who you think you are, even as I was making progress, right? And you can't, and you really can't. They don't understand everything. Right. And that's okay. It's not your job to make them understand everything. It's your job to focus on the audience you want to serve, or if it's any kind of business, is focus on what you want to produce in the world is really what it comes down to, right? Like, I mean, I've even had, if my wife sees this, she'll probably throw something at me, but but there was a point in time when, some years ago, like really when I first started this industry, I didn't have a track record, right? So, and I was trying, literally, it took me 2 years to get my first client, right, as a coach. And that was tough. Like it was very hard. So imagine spending all this time watching videos and, joining trainings and doing all of these things and not having anything to show for it. And I'm taking time away from the relationship to put towards this. So she was rightfully so, to be annoyed by that. You know what I'm saying? Like, rightfully so, like, yo, you spending all this time doing this and there's nothing to show for it. Right. So that was of course very discouraging to me, right? Because I want to be successful, but with that, I really had to lock in on this is nobody else's dream but my own dream. So regardless of who supports me and who doesn't support me, I'm the one that has to make it happen. And what I've learned is that the more consistent you are and the longer you do it, you at some point you're going to start getting results. And once you start getting results, that will be evident to the people in your life. And once they start seeing it, you will be surprised on how many supporters you start having. The same people who might have been holding you back or didn't believe in you or hated on you or said, oh, you won't be successful, or you can't do that, or I know who you used to be. I was afraid of that. Like who you used to be, like you was from the hood, like who you think you are. I was with you, in college when you was popping bottles and you was smoking weed and you just cared about, being around the girls and doing this and doing that. Who do you think you are, thinking that you can help people, thinking that you can inspire the world, thinking that you can do this business, right? And I had fear of that. But it wasn't until I just kept going, kept learning, kept like watching podcasts, kept getting coaches, kept reading books. And I just started making progress. And now a lot of those people who didn't necessarily support me initially, those are the same people that are my biggest supporters.
Wow, that's awesome. I like that. And I'm sure that's very encouraging for coaches who may be having a similar experience, to just keep on going at it, refining your craft and documenting that which you do. And, you will get there. So I have a question, which is how many people have you helped to be successful?
Yeah, love it. Yeah, love it. Great question. So I've been in this for maybe about 7 years. So recently, really one, if you just like online following, I've helped thousands of people online really just be able to learn my coaching, like learn training just on how to get started. In terms of people who've been through my online coaching programs, hundreds of people who've been through it, learned, taking programs, which I actually got a little gift for y'all today, right? I'm gonna give some of y'all access into some of my coaching, some of my productivity program, which we'll talk more about later. But really, I mean, what I've noticed is that a lot of people want to learn, and success looks different for different people. So it kind of depends on like what your goals are, right? A lot of people that I work with, they want to impact and transform the lives of their audience, right? Whether it's just a few people or whether it's hundreds or thousands of people, if they could get somebody to get one little result or become a little better, they're super happy with that, right? And then from a financial perspective, folks that, some folks just like, yo, if I can make an extra $5,000 a month, that'd be amazing to me. If I could make an extra 15 grand, 20 grand a month, that'd be amazing to me, right? So folks, they make 6 figures in a business, they're good, they feel happy about that, right? So, I mean, it ranges. Like I looked at my stats the other day, and just the last year and a half, we've impacted over 1.2 million people online. Right. Wow. So it's just, it's a blessing.
Wow. That is phenomenal. That is excellent work that you're doing. And I'm on one of your programs as well. And I must say that it is very, very good. The level of support, that's available is awesome. It really is a lovely environment to be in, alongside other coaches and speakers, sharing our wins, any issues that we might have. And there's so many resources available to us. So, thank you. I have another question and then we'll go for a break. And it's from Michael Neal, and it says, how do you help people who truly believe in their purpose but struggle with self-doubt, anxiety, fear, and low self-esteem?
Love it, love it. I just got off a call. With somebody today, about the same situation. And I can tell you this is that any new journey you're going to have some level of anxiety. You're going to have some level of discomfort. And it's just like anything else, is that when you first start, that's how you're going to feel. But the more that you do it, the better that you'll be. Because I can tell you this, like when I first, y'all see me now, like, well, maybe you saying this, I don't know, he sounds confident, like he's really, he knows his stuff. He's been helping a lot of people. We got a lot of results. But I can tell you this, I was a completely different guy had we met almost 7 years ago. That was a different scenario. You feel what I'm saying? Like I was in a place where I was afraid to put on my content. I was afraid to get on video. I was afraid to do lives and stuff like this. What are people going to say? They're judging me. I was afraid of the haters, right? And so I did go through the confidence and I did go through the self-esteem, but my mission and my purpose was so big that I said, I have to keep going and figure it out. And then I just started small. So where I started was I was doing videos, but I would never publish them. So if anybody put out videos on YouTube before, when you upload videos, it gives you the option of, do you want to make this public? Do you private, or what do they call it? Unlisted, right?
Yes.
Unlisted means that you upload it, but nobody sees it unless you send them the direct link, right? I used to upload all of my videos on unlisted. All of my videos was unlisted, and I'm like, unless I want somebody to see it, I was afraid to put it on public because of what people were going to say in that judgment, right? So I remember I was talking to my coach at the time, and she said, listen, you got to remember that business is about iterations. It's about getting better over time. It's not about you being perfect day one. And even if you change one life and you help one person, you're working towards your mission and your purpose. And I just started where I was at. And then I just got better and better and better. I had one client who literally, he wanted to, really get more confident at speaking. And one of the things he did was, so I challenged him. I said, I want you to go speak to your audience. So he literally would he would literally go live at 3:00 in the morning. Why would you go live 3:00 in the morning? Why did he do that? He went live 3:00 in the morning because he knew for a fact nobody was going to join, because he was definitely afraid that if somebody would have joined when he was on, that he couldn't do it. He wouldn't have been able to do it. So he used to go live at 3:00 in the morning just so he can get the confidence of going live. And so start with where you're at. Start small, right? Start just doing the very little tiny micro things, and then you'll get more confident the more consistent you are.
Excellent. Thank you so much for those tips and for sharing. It's really, really enjoyable, let's say, to get an insight into your journey into becoming a successful business coach and speaker, which you are today. We're going to go for a quick break, and come back on the other side where you can find out how you can gain access to a productivity course that Terrell has for us. So stay tuned and take the opportunity to share out this podcast during the break. And should you yourself want to come on and feature on the Aisha Muhammad podcast during the break, you'll be able to find out how.
It's great you're enjoying the show. Are you a COVID conqueror? Are you thriving personally or by serving your community during this pandemic? If this is you and you want to inspire others by sharing your story on the COVID Conqueror series, apply now. Send an email to aishapodcast@yahoo.com. Oh, and remember to share this podcast with those you know it will help. Now, back to the interview.
Welcome back to the Aisha Mohammed podcast. This is the COVID Conqueror series. I am joined today by my phenomenal guest, Terrell Coach T. Jones. And we've been chopping it up about his journey in becoming a coach, discuss what it was like as a young boy, growing up in a rough neighborhood, and how he was able to just make the decision to do something different. And now he is helping hundreds of people, basically live out their life purpose in helping others as speakers and life coaches. So we are now on the second half of the podcast, whereby we're going to talk a little bit about time management and productivity. So, Terrell, tell us more about this course that you say that we can gain access to, and also the importance of time management and productivity.
Yeah. So absolutely. So this is huge. I learned this early on. This will help you, even if you don't want to be an entrepreneur, but especially once you want to get your time right. Like time is a resource that I don't think a lot of people really take as seriously as they take their money, right? So the difference between time and money is that time is a resource that's not renewable. Money is a renewable resource, right? Mm-hmm. So when you talk in your time, you got to be very guarded about your time. You really want to invest your time wisely, right? So like watching like the podcast, because you're feeding yourself, you're learning new things, you're learning new insight that's helping you live a better quality of life. So I take my time very seriously, and I can tell you that when it really comes to time management, when it comes to productivity, it really comes down to you having a framework that you're going to live by that's going to allow you to be successful, right? Mm-hmm. Time management and productivity. Time management is really being able to it's really about using your time correctly, right? Or when I say correctly, meaning being able to better use your time that's going to allow you to get the output that you want. Right. Being productive is you can have the time allocated, but how much are you producing in the time that you do have? I can put a time, and some of us we might have experiences, right? You can put a time to work on your business and your calendar, but that doesn't mean you're productive during that time, right? That you have on your calendar. You feel what I'm saying? So yeah. It's very key. So it's very key that when we're talking about that you really have some type of framework that you're going to live by. So what's my framework? And it's the same framework that we have inside of the course. So I have a book that I created. It's called The Productive Lifestyle Plan. It looks kind of beat up because I actually use it, right? I actually use my own productivity book, right? And inside of this book, we focus on different things, right? So I can't even find a blank page. I use it so much. All right. So inside of this book, we have different things. We have like a daily assessment, which basically we have like almost like a daily agenda, and then we have like a nightly assessment. So you can put what you want to do down on paper or on your calendar, but you got to check in. Most people don't check in until the first of every year. That's when they really assess their results. But if you assess your results at the end of every day, you can really you can make major adjustments for the next day, and you'll be surprised. You'll be way further than you thought you can even be because you've been making those continue adjustments, right? So it's really key. Now, what are some of the things that I do to really focus on being more productive? So it's a couple of things, and this is inside the planner and it's inside the course as well. So the very first thing is we call them targets. What are your top 3 targets? So, and this is going to answer your question too, Michael, right? So your top 3 targets. So your targets is this. Your targets is what are the big projects that you really want to work on, you want to move towards. That can be any area. It can be in business. It could be in your life. It could be in your relationships. It can be anything. What are the top 3 things you want to work on? So for example, if we're working on, if you want to look at, okay, well, I want to be an entrepreneur, or if you want to be more successful in your business, then what are the top 3 projects in your business you want to work on? So it could be, I want to write my book. I want to start a coaching program. I want to open up that restaurant, whatever it is, right? I work with coaches. So let's just say coaches, right? So if you want to start, let's say you want to get your passion out into the world, you want to start it. Well, your goal is going to be, okay, you have my target. Your target is what? What is the specific goal that you're looking to reach or you're looking to accomplish? So if you want to be, let's just say you say, you know what, I want to coach 15 people this year, right? And I really want to transform and change their life. And I want to be financially stable, right? Then if that's the goal, you have the goal, but then under your targets, right? And that's what this is, right? Under your targets, under your target, which is the green thing up here, under your target, you got to have milestones. So what are your top 5 milestones that's going to help you get to the target? See, before, when I used to try to get goals, I would just put a goal down and I wouldn't really know how I was going to do it. We will put, and that's what I think that's what most people do, is that you put a goal down and you say, okay, I want to have this amount of money. I want to have this amount of happiness. I want to be with this type of person in my life. I want to have this type of body or this type of physique, but you have no idea on really how to do it. Maybe you research things here and there, but you don't have a solid plan to follow. So what the framework we show you is that you put a target and what are the 5 milestones that are proven to work. Coach T, how do I know it's proven to work? Follow somebody who has those results. Right? Invest in somebody who has those results because they're going to teach you the framework. And I specifically said invest. That's different than let me just do a little bit of research. Invest because somebody's going to take their time. If they're a good coach or a good trainer, they're going to take their time and they're going to walk you through the blueprint. So your goal is to find what are the top 5 things that they did. So if you come to me and you say, all right, coach, like I want to start coaching, I want to generate 6 figures doing this. Like, what do I need to do? I'm going to walk you through. I'm going to say, okay, these are the 5 things you need to do. Right. I'm going to say, okay, you need to know in who you're going to help. You got to know your niche. You got to be able to structure the coaching program that you're giving them. Right. You got to have your marketing right in terms of who you're helping and who you're targeting. You got to have content. You got to know how to get people. You got to know how to show people what their transformation is going to look like and actually get them interested in your coaching program. You got to be able to have a great program that you can actually deliver on and help people get results, right? So I can list out the top 5 things that you need. And then now your goal is, let me do it. Anything, and write this down if y'all are taking notes. Anything that you want to do, regardless of what it is in any area of your life, you can chunk it down into the top 5 things. If you look at anybody who is successful in any industry and you look at the top people that are successful, you can pretty much see that they did the same top things in order to be successful in that industry. So you want to have those top 5 milestones. Does that make sense?
It does.
Love it. Love it. Now we got more than that too. I can break it down if y'all want to know daily.
Yeah, you're teaching today.
we doing it today. We doing it today. And
that's one of the things that I like, actually. When I log on to the Zoom calls, when I first started, I didn't quite know what to expect. And it's true, you can get busy, caught up in doing things throughout the week. But that time is work time. When I came, we was actually completing and filling out the work. And I was like, oh, this is beautiful. This is a space where I can just like focus. I can get the help that I need. I can help others. And we just get it done, So it's awesome. Yeah.
Love it. All right. So I'll give you one more tip on that, right? So once you have your top 5 milestones, and sometimes you can get it in a book, you can get it in a coaching program, you can get it different places, right? Once you have and Viola says, interesting. I'm glad this is helpful. So once you have once you have that list, right? Your goal is to say, okay, now that I have this, your 5 milestones is different than your daily priorities, right? Because I can say, in order to be a successful coach, you got to have a program that you put together to help your target audience. Let's say if you're a life coach, if you want to be a life coach, you got to have a program that can help your people based on your experience, right? Well, guess what? You gotta, there's micro steps and activities and priorities within that. Each one of those milestones could have 5, 10, 15, 20 activities associated with it. That's so right. Your goal is to put down at least and actually I wouldn't recommend you do more than this, at least 3 priorities a day. At least three priorities a day. If you do 3, if you work on whatever you want to accomplish and you at least do 3 priorities a day, you'll be surprised where you'll be at in a year. Shocked. Right? That's over 1,000 actions you took that's over 1,000 steps. Think about that. It's over 1,000 steps, 1,000 activities that you did towards the thing you wanted to accomplish. Right? So it's about one day. What am I doing? Okay. Let me just get clear on my topic and my niche audience. Cool. Or okay, let me get incorporated. Cool. Let me do the website. Cool. Whatever it is, it could be a relationships. It could be okay. Let's start doing a date night. It can be let me sign up for a gym membership. It can be all right. Let's go to church this Sunday. Like it can whatever it is. Like just it's about you taking the small micro steps. We call it progress over perfection.
That's right.
Baby steps is better than no
Love
steps.
That.
So
what I like about that method as well, and even just to-do list, I've like always had a to-do list, is that it keeps you on track, and you can literally see that you've actually done something and that you're moving and how far you've come. So every night before I go to bed, I write out my to-do list for the next day. Love it. Get doing it. Sometimes there's rollover and sometimes there's not, but it does help to keep me focused and on track when I'm disciplined to do it.
Yeah. And by the way, what I would say too is that when you do so, and this could be helpful to you too. But when you do like your to-do list, right? Like try to keep it between 3 to 5 things, because a lot of times what I see people do is like they'll put 10 different things.
That's right.
And then guess what? I can virtually guarantee you probably don't get to half of that. Right. So guess what? When you make a new to-do list the next day or the night, now you're piling on different things, and you start getting like this mental fog, this mental, like you're this mental blockage, and it's actually filling up like your mental queue. Like if that's like a visual for you, filling up the mental queue in your brain, and it's actually making it harder for you to be productive.
Right.
So when I say like 3 things, that doesn't mean that you're going to finish that in 2 hours, right? Depending on how much time you have. What that means is this. I can tell you this. So like, for example, in my business, right? One of the things I do every day is I let's say like I might be on a strategy session or coaching call, right? I'm a coach. So I coach every day. Now, I might be on 5 calls coaching one day. That can take hours, right? Or part of my job is providing content, right? We're doing a podcast today. This is considered content for me, right? So my content time where I'm able to provide value. So, don't look at it as, well, if it's just 3 things, it's not that much. That can take up your whole day. You can do one thing and it can take up your whole day, right? But the main thing is, I would rather have you do less activities, but the activities you do are more important, instead of having a laundry list and you do the easy things just to make yourself feel good. This is the reason why people don't get as much progress as they want.
Excellent. So what do we have to do to gain access to this productivity course that you have?
Yes. So to gain access, so this is what you can do. So one thing is, I want you to just shoot me a text, and then I'm gonna have my assistant unlock your access for you. Viola says, great strategy. Good. I'm glad this is helpful. So so this is what we're gonna do. So I want you to shoot a text message to this number, and with the word productivity. So the number is area code 347. I'm in the US, right? I know we got a lot of folks in the UK watching. So it's area code 347 601 2422. 347 601 2422. And what that allow you to do, and send me the word productivity, And what that's going to allow me to do is get you unlock your access to the call. I'm probably going to need like your name, your email number. So your name, your email. So you can add that in the text as well. And then what I'll do is I'll give you access to the productivity course that you can get it. Typically you'll need to get a book in order to get access to it. But, just because I want to do something special for, Aisha and her audience, then that's why we're doing that.
Excellent. Cool. Well, thank you so much. Thank you for, giving us something that we can use to benefit ourselves and to help us, achieve our goals and keep focused, because time, that thing there is something that we need to really learn to utilize. Haven't got time to be playing no games.
Right. Exactly.
Not in this hour at all. And we just have one more question. How can a person who has a grueling schedule, such as work, rearing children, keeping a house, and maintaining relationships or marriage, how can they steal away time to build something that they want to do that's going to lead them to being an entrepreneur?
Yeah, love it, man. Great question, Michael. First of all, I just want to say something. Your audience asks great questions. I love it. Like these are amazing. These are amazing questions. So most people look at it like this. It's like, I don't have the time to do it, right? Or I want to do this, but I have a bunch of other things happening. So this is what I would say. If you have something happening, first, a lot of times we think that we don't have we don't have enough time to build our dream or to start the business that we want or do the things we want, because we haven't necessarily taken the time to look at our calendar. So the first thing that I would say is that, do you really not have time? Because if I asked you how many hours do you have, how many hours you have available, 9.999% of people couldn't tell you, because they haven't put it on their calendar. Right. So if you say, I want to start a business, then how many hours do you have available to build that business? Meaning, if you work 9 to 5, okay, and let's say, you can't work during that time. Okay, cool. So you got 9 to 5, and then you say, I do laundry once a week. I do dishes, I don't know, daily or 3 times a week or whatever. Right. So put all of the activities that you have on the calendar, and then I need you to look and say, this is the time I have available. You might look at your calendar and say, okay, between weekends and between during the week, I got an additional 10 hours. Now that you have that additional 10 hours, now you can start scheduling those blocks or those priorities that we talked about. You can start scheduling those in those hours. And then, so that's the idea. Now, that's you. Second thing that you can do is you can leverage people who can actually do the work for you in your personal life. Meaning, you can have a house cleaner, right? Meaning that you can have, you can have a chef, right? And these things don't have to take as much time as you think, right? Like it can, like, trust me, or cost as much money as you think. Or you can have, like, in the US, I don't know if it's in the UK, but we have something called HelloFresh, right? Where basically people, they deliver meals to you, and all you got to do is cook it. So before, when it takes you 2 hours, an hour and a half, 2 hours to cook a meal, now it takes you 20 minutes because you have all the ingredients. You can just make it, and it takes you 20, 30 minutes to put together a meal. You just got back hours of your week. I was talking to a stay-at-home mom one time. She's like, yeah, I got 5 kids and I got to do laundry. I got to do this, that, and the third. I said, okay. She said, I'm super passionate about building my business. I said, okay, this is what we're going to do. Hire a nanny. Right? So do those kind of things. You might have to do your own grocery shopping, right? You can get groceries delivered to you. So a lot of times we're doing things and we don't necessarily have to spend that amount of time doing it. And then the third and final thing I would give you is find resources that you can leverage inside of your actual business. So automation and delegation. Automate certain things you don't have to do manually. There's software to do that.
That's
right.
It.
I remember in a business, but and as a coach, one of the things you need to do is remind people to get on phone calls with you. You know that I used to spend a lot of time reminding people manually, all of the people I had to speak to. I used to spend a lot of time doing certain things manually. We don't have to do it manually anymore. That's automation. Delegation. I got a team now. You know what allows me to be on this podcast is because I have a team that's handling things with our group, with our students, with our members, right? We're putting out content. We're having conversations. We're booking appointments. My business could run so I can be 100% attentive to my audience. Automation and delegation.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you. Thank you so much. I think that we've come to the end now, and I've really, really enjoyed having you on. You've given so much value, of which you always do, over deliver. And I am just, happy that we did this. And I know that this is not dead. This will continue. You could continue in the comments. And as you rightly said, this is content, and I'll definitely be chopping up bits and pieces and putting it out there. You're free to do the same, so that this can serve as a resource for people who are thinking about working for themselves or becoming a life coach, and who may be a stay-at-home mom or in the office or whatever. This is really full of a lot of good, advice. And I'm really happy that we were able to make this happen. And I know that Viola, who happens to be my mom, I know that she is very inspired.
Love it. That's awesome.
Yeah, she's very inspired by what it is you've shared with us today. And I just want to, congratulate you on your journey and where it is you find yourself today, and wish you all the best for where it is that you're taking things. And you're an inspiration. You really are an inspiration. And I'm happy that you were able to open up and be very free today to share your journey with us. So thank you, Terrell, for coming on the Aisha Muhammad podcast. Thank you so much. So continue to share, those of you who are in the audience, so that this can reach more people who can benefit. You can contact Coach T, Coach Terrell, on Instagram. If you take a look at the screen, you can see where you need to go so that you can follow him and know what's up. And I will put in the comments what you need to do to gain access to the productivity course that Terrell has shared with us today. So thank you so much. So much.
All right. You're welcome.
And we'll see you again on the next episode of the Aisha Muhammad podcast, COVID Conquerors. Love each other and take care. Peace.
I must have set up at least 15 plus food banks.
We need good examples of marriage.
Oh, wow. I am resilient, I am strong, and I am capable.
Sit down and wait for this thing to pass over.